This is the Almost Timely newsletter for the week of October 13th, 2024. Content authenticity statement: 70% of this week's newsletter was generated by me, the human. You will see outputs from AI in the opening section, fairly extensive ones, labeled by which AI model they came from. The big plug this week, same thing we've been plugging for the last couple of weeks, which is the talk from this year's Inbound and the talk from this year's Marketing AI Conference. If you have not caught the replays of those, I would recommend that you do so. There's a lot of useful stuff in there that you can take and try yourself. What's on my mind this week? Intermediate prompt engineering for generative AI. This week, let's explore some more prompt engineering concepts, maybe at an intermediate level. So not basic, like here's how to type a prompt, and not advanced, like, hey, let's set up some infrastructure to programmatically apply a prompt to a database. Right? There's sort of two extremes. In the middle, we want to maybe kick things up beyond the basics, but not get too overwhelming. If you recall, I have said for a while now that prompt engineering is essentially programming, but instead of programming in Python or Java or C++, we're programming in English or Ukrainian or Danish. However, that means we're still programming, at least if we want to maximize the outcomes we get from generative AI, particularly from large language models. We are still programming, which means writing instructions in a structured manner to achieve a repeatable, reliable end result. If we understand this fundamental concept that we are programming when you're using generative AI, then we'll be far more successful and impactful with technology. So this week, let's look at a specific family of prompting called chain of thought and some frameworks. Part 1, chains of thought. When we look at the variety of academic papers about achieving good results with prompt engineering, of the 50 or so prompt engineering techniques that all these papers, and there's dozens of them on archive.org, more than half of them fall under the broad umbrella of chain of thought. Chain of thought prompts are little more than step-by-step instructions in a couple of broad varieties. One, manual chain of thought prompts are when we tell the AI what to do step by step. First do this, then do this, and so on and so forth. Automated chain of thought prompts are when the AI assembles and manages its own prompts. I'll give you an example of a simple chain of thought prompt written by me. I say, you're an expert in writing country song lyrics. You know pop country, country music, songwriting, song lyric construction. Today you'll be writing lyrics for a country song. Here are the steps for writing a country song lyrics. Number 1, what's the concept? Number 2, what's the story? Number 3, what's the setting? Number 4, who are the characters? Number 5, what are the emotions that the song is supposed to invoke? And number 6, what's the song's structure? And number 7, what's the rhyme and meter for the song? Now, that's a pretty decent prompt. And if you were to run that in a generative AI tool, you would probably get some decent results out of it. If you tell the AI, here's what we're going to do, let me give you the answers to all those questions, it would probably do a decent job. You can see that in a manual chain of thought prompt that we spell out step by step what the instructions are. It's a recipe, right? It is a recipe, a set of directions for the model to follow. Part 2, automated chain of thought. Automated chain of thought is even simpler. Starting with the first paragraph of our existing prompt, if we use the Trust Insights RACE framework for prompt engineering as a starting point, we can have the AI do the heavy lifting for us. Maybe I don't have to write out all those steps. So let's do this. Let's do a demo of this. I'm going to switch over to our demo view here. I'll use ChatGPT for this, but this sort of prompt, this is a meta prompt, will work in pretty much any modern language model. I'm going to start by saying, put that in here. You're a prompt engineering expert in generative AI. You know prompt construction, prompt engineering, and prompt optimization. You are familiar with prompt engineering techniques such as chain of thought, few shot, zero shot, tree of thought, and other prompting techniques. Convert the following prompt into a chain of thought prompt. And then now this is the first paragraph of my country song prompt, right? And I say, write the prompt as chain of thought. Let's hit go and see what it comes up with. We're doing some user testing in ChatGPT. This happens when OpenAI wants to test to see which response from a model is better. So we have established the theme. These are mostly the same prompt. But I'm going to say I prefer the slightly longer one. This is your prompt now. I could copy this and put it in a piece of plain text. And now if I bring this into view here, just trim off the top and the bottom, that's my prompt. That is an automated chain of thought prompt. I gave it pieces, I gave it and some instructions, and it spit this out. Here's the thing. I can take that prompt. Let's move it over to Anthropic's Claude. I'll put this in, same exact prompt. Let's see what Claude Sonnet comes up with. This is the Sonnet 3.5 model. Here's the prompt converted. You are an expert. Choose a theme, develop a story, call your hook, etc., and so on and so forth. This is a terrific result. Let's move over to Google's AI Studio. Let's use the consumer version of Gemini. Let's go ahead and put this exact thing in here and hit go and see what Gemini comes up with. Chain of thought prompt. You're an expert in writing stuff. Here's the lyrics. Consider the following steps. What are the common themes? So on and so forth. So this is a pretty good prompt, right? That's pretty nice. What you get back from this automated chain of thought system depends on the model. We've saw in 3 very different models, 3 very different approaches to how this returns its data. Here's what you need to know. Each model's prompt that it came back with is a prompt optimized for that model, for that architecture and that knowledge. This is important. When a prompt is optimized for a specific model, it's going to work best with that model. Now, you could take any one of these prompts, all 3 of these that it spit out, and put them in any of the other models, and you're probably going to get good results, but you will get the best results by using the prompt generated by a model with that same model. So if I make an automated chain of thought prompt in Claude, I should use the Claude one with Claude. If I make one with ChatGPT, I should use it within ChatGPT. It is optimized for that. The analogy I always give is that if you imagine a language model as a library and our prompting, the interface is the librarian, could you pull a librarian from the New York Public Library and put them in the Boston Public Library? And would they still be able to do their job? Yeah, they could do some of it. A lot of the knowledge is transferable, but they don't know specifically where everything is in the Boston Library because they work in the New York Library. It would take them time to and not be as efficient, and maybe they wouldn't know certain things because they are still thinking of where they work instead of the library they've been moved to. If I ask the New York Public Librarian in the New York Public Library where something is, they're going to generate much better results because they're in their home library. So the same thing is true of prompts. Part 3, frameworks. Now, let's do the big unlock. What is a framework? When I say framework, I don't mean in prompt engineering and AI. Put AI aside. I mean in your business, in marketing, in finance, in HR. For example, if you went to business school, paid a lot of money for it. Here are some well-known frameworks, right? SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Porter's 5 forces, threat of substitute products, bargaining power of buyers, bargaining power of suppliers, threat of entry, power of suppliers. I'm getting drowsy reciting this because I slept through this in my MBA. Pest analysis, political, economic, social, and technological factors influencing business. The BCG growth share matrix, cash cows, dogs, problem children, and stars. You know all these frameworks, or you've heard of all these frameworks. They're very commonplace. If you've sat in any kind of business strategy meeting at all, you've heard someone at least obliquely reference one of these frameworks or a similar well-known public framework. What are all these? Yes, you guessed it. They're all chains of thought. They're all step-by-step processes to reach a set of conclusions in a reliable and repeatable way, which means, if we go back to the previous section, you can either use manual or automated chain of thought prompting to use AI in this kind of work, in this kind of thinking. Let's use as an analysis the Trust Insights pair framework, right? We want to prime the model to get an understanding of what it knows. So let's go ahead and go into demo mode here. I'm going to use AI Studio for this, mostly because I find it's easiest to read. I'm going to choose Gemini Pro 002, and I'm going to start off with a basic prompt that says, You're an expert management consultant, the likes of a person who works at McKinsey, Bain, or BCG. You know management consulting, corporate strategy, business strategy, strategic planning. First, what do you know about SWOT analysis? After you list out your knowledge, um, explain what you believe the strengths and weaknesses are. Finally, explain what expert tips and tricks you know about SWOT analysis that you didn't already cover. Return your explanation in outline form. Now, this is a very straightforward priming prompt to get knowledge out of the model. So let's go ahead and take a look here at what it's spitting out here. What to know about it: definition, purpose, components, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Process: define the objective, strengths and weaknesses of SWOT analysis, simplicity, versatility, etc., weaknesses, subjectivity, oversimplification, etc., and so on and so forth. This goes on for quite some time. This is the output. Now, if we're going to use this, we're going to do something with this, we should carefully inspect these results and validate them. Make sure that the model is saying things that are actually true, and provide any necessary corrections in its knowledge if it's saying things that are not true. That's part one. Part two, we want to convert the model. We want to have the model convert this to a chain of thought prompt. So we would say something like, using everything we've discussed so far about SWOT analysis, convert it into a prompt for use with generative AI and large language models. Specifically in prompt engineering, build a chain of thought prompt. The purpose of the prompt is to conduct a SWOT analysis. Remember, this is the reason this is going to work is because we did a lot of priming. The user will upload relevant information about a company and its competitors. From that information, you'll conduct a SWOT analysis and return the results in an outline with strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as major headings in the outline. Create the chain of thought prompt. So let's see what it came up with. We have here instructions. There's the instructions, chain of thought, objective clarification, information processing, strength identification, weakness identification, opportunity identification, threat identification, outline generation. User input, there's where we put the information, and then here's the desired output with that result template. Now, I'm not going to do this in all three models, but you should do this in all three models, because you want to get an understanding of what is the model capable of doing and which model returns the best result, frankly. Any of the models that we've shown today are ones that you can do this in pretty straightforward. That's pretty useful, right? All those frameworks you learned in business school or in your business administration classes, you can give them a new lease on life by relying on their true nature as a set of instructions, as a recipe. With the help of generative AI, you can turn them from passive concepts into a slide deck, from a slide deck into something you can use, a recipe you can use. You could turn it into an app. Right? I could take this prompt here, and I could take this and turn it into a gem or a chat GPT, custom GPT, or a Claude artifact, whatever. I could take it and make a SWOT app. Now, part 4. Here is the really big unlock. The part I almost wonder if I should make you pay for it. I'm not gonna, but everyone and their cousin knows the big public frameworks like SWOT, Porter's 5 Forces, and all the other ones we've talked about. We all went to business school for them, or we all know of them, or we all know someone who went to business school and learned these. If we want to stand out in generative AI, if we want to stand out in business, we shouldn't just be using what everyone else is using. We shouldn't just be doing what everyone else is doing. Jay Baer calls it the same as lame, and he's right. These frameworks are good, but they're not enough. The winners in AI, this is something I say in my keynote talks all the time, now booking for 2025, is whoever has the most best ideas will win in the age of AI. Whoever has the most best ideas will win in the age of AI. Everyone has SWOT and PEST and Porter's 5 Forces. Not everyone has your frameworks, your processes, the special way that you do things that you found in your own work that work best for you. What frameworks do you have that are unique, that are different, that you could take out of your playbook and turn into an app using generative AI? Years and years ago, I told you that you needed to put together your golden cookbook. the compendium of strategies, tactics, frameworks, processes that you've built in your career, whether your career is 6 months old or 60 years old. Mine's up to like 281 pages now, years later. But this is all the knowledge that you've collected, that you've documented throughout your career, short or long. That is your cookbook of how to do things. I wrote about this way back in 2019. So I hope yours is coming along well. In that cookbook is your advantage with generative AI. In that cookbook is how you're going to build incredible apps and prompts, things that no one else has. Suppose, for example, I took my 4 models of media monetization framework that I built in 2022 to help businesses monetize their audiences better. Right now, that's a slide in the cookbook, right? If I took that slide out and I narrated my explanation of it and I gave it to AI to turn into a chain of thought prompt, I would have a killer prompt with the right data from a company that would give you a rock solid monetization strategy. And I could turn that into an app. I could turn that into a service. I could turn that into all sorts of things. And AI is the key for doing that because, again, it can turn with this prompting strategy. I can turn it into something that is action oriented. It's not a slide that you look at and go, yeah, we know that. It's here's my data, do the thing. That is the big unlock. That is what AI can do for you with you, to take your unique knowledge, your unique processes and ideas, the things you have built in your career that are uniquely yours, and convert them from knowledge into action. Turn those things from concepts to recipes that you can actually cook. Real results. With the processes I've shown you in this issue of the newsletter, you can now get away from simple, cheesy, commonplace, ineffective prompts into real, meaty, lengthy, unique prompts that no one else has because they're based on your knowledge. Whoever has the most best ideas will win, right? You'll turn these prompts into apps using tools like Google Gems or custom GPTs or artifacts, and you will create value at scale with AI from the knowledge you uniquely bring to the table. Imagine you have 5 frameworks for monetizing a podcast. You build apps for this, and then you sell access to those apps. You say, here, you're going to follow each of these apps in step from your frameworks, and surprise, you've got a toolkit that anyone can use and get real value from because it's based on your knowledge, your frameworks, and using chain of thought to turn them into apps. Whoever has the most best ideas will win in the age of AI, and chances are you are sitting on a ton of ideas that you've built. It is time to unlock the value of your unique knowledge. All right, what else happened this week? We had a great live stream this week looking at generating music with AI. So you can come hear how we turned a pop song that my friend Brooke Sells wrote with ChatGPT into 70s funk. She wrote it to get people to take her survey. So there's that. We did all sorts of generative AI stuff. You talked about it with strategic planning. So lots and lots of fun stuff there. Let's talk about jobs this week. Who is hiring and for what? We have analytics growth manager at Latent View Analytics, business intelligence analyst at Verve, data and analytics manager at Omada Search, data scientist at Cohere Health, data scientist at Scale Marketing, director of platform at Start Guides, growth strategy and analytics at Privia Health, healthcare data analyst at Sidious Tech, lead of marketing analytics at Gemini. I assume Gemini, the firm, not Google. Manager, business insights at Entertainment Partners. Market analyst at Science and Medicine Group. Reporting consultant at Boost Local. Senior data analyst at 7 Rooms. Senior manager of capacity planning at Headspace. Tableau-driven financial planning analyst at Classic Vacations. And user acquisition manager at Bumble. So lots of interesting hiring going on there. Be sure to go check those out. Upcoming events. My next event in person is going to be the Marketing Props B2B Forum here in Boston in literally like 3 weeks. I also am doing a virtual event with the AI Business Society in this week. AMA Houston also in November, the Social Media Marketing World in early next year. So lots and lots of events coming up. If you're at these events, say hi. If you would like me at an event like a year-end roundoff or a New Year kickoff for your company, for your sales team, for your marketing team, ways to use AI, like we've talked about in this newsletter, let me know. I'm happy to come out and do the show for you, if you will. That's going to do it for this week's newsletter. Thank you for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you want to know when new videos are available, hit the bell button to be notified as soon as new content is live.